thinking they had it made. Because they were pressing their own, again, the needy and easy victim, oppressed by the rest, God is going to send an enemy of theirs from the outside to nearly destroy them. And in case some of the listeners thought that once again, God's kind of angry and He's chastising us, but He's going to rescue us again. Because, more often than not, that's what God does. Because it's really what He doesn't want to have to go. Just like, we have to do that serious discipline in our house. It's like, man, I really don't want to go there. But I have to. It's required. It's necessary. It's right. Because most of the time he would make it clear and He would chastise them, and yeah, there'd be some discomfort to get their attention and whatnot, and then he would restore. He would really come in with a lot of destruction. This time, I think that where he talks about the shepherd saving a sheep out of the mouth of a lion, and he only gets a few pieces. I think what that's saying is that the Israel is the sheep, and the being able to only spare out of the lion's mouth maybe a leg bone and an ear is that only a few will be spared. Again, we can always put in, not direct theologically an analogy of the church, but God speaking to all times and all ages, that's what it would be. What's going on with His church today, both universal and local. What are we doing as individuals that make up the local body, and how angry is God, and what does He need to do to stir us up? It by all means may not be this. I would hope that it wouldn't be. But some degree of measure is always in store for us. And He will only do, I'm convinced by looking at how He's worked through all of history, He will only do the minimum of what He needs to do to get the job done. And if it ends up being really severe, it's because that's all that would have ever worked. Nothing short. Anything less would have been, okay, I get back on my way. So the point of this first message here in chapter 3 is that Israel was chosen, and because of their rebellion and oppression of their own, judgment was coming. Because they're His and because they're messing up, it's coming. And that's true in our lives personally, to whatever degree. The former is true, that is, how far I've strayed. His discipline is certain. Turn over to Psalm 81. We'll finish up there. In verses 11 through 14. My people did not listen to my voice, and Israel did not obey me. So I gave them over to the stubbornness of their heart, to walk in their own devices. He's describing the situation as it exists at the time here. My people did not listen to my voice. He has spoken. He does not remain silent, folks. He is speaking all the time. Through His Word, through your life circumstances, He's speaking. My people did not listen to my voice. My people did not obey me. I'm going to go ahead and use substitute for Israel, my people, just so we don't think it's another people, another time, another place. My people did not listen to my voice. My people did not obey me. So I gave them over to the stubbornness of their heart to walk in their own devices. He kind of says, okay, it's what you want to do? Go ahead. Do it for a while. See what happens. He gave them up to their own devices, their own ways, you know, their own schemes, their own, you know, just do your own thing. That's what you want to do. Go for it. We'll see how it works out for you. Look at verses 13 and 14. I think we really see the heart of the Father. He says, oh, that my people would listen to me. That Israel would walk in my ways. See, this is not what he wants. This is not what he likes. His deal is he's not waiting for you to mess up to punish you. He is waiting for you just to look him in the face and love him and do what is right. And he just wants to wrap his arms around you. That's what he's waiting for. An opportunity to love and to bless. He says, oh, that my people would listen to me. And not because he's some narcissist, but because he knows his ways are perfect. He designed us, and he designed the ways that we best operate. And so if we do it his way, it's going to go well for us. Oh, if they would just listen. If my people would walk in my ways. Then look, verse 14. I would quickly subdue their enemies and turn my hand against their adversaries. In this context, that's the problem, okay? They're in, again, disobedience, and so they're having problems from their neighboring enemies. That's the consequence. So for us, it's what, you know, whatever our personal thing is. If we're over here in disobedience, then something wrong is going to happen. Something's not going to go as right as it would, as he wants it to for you. We're going to encounter some difficulty when we step out here and do it our own way. And so his thing is oh man, I wish you would listen. And if you would listen and do it my way, man, I want to just quickly, you know, take care of, you know, those problems in your life. You know, I shared, you know, Thursday night we're kind of trying to stay ahead in Amos as we're looking at that in the brothers meeting. And with this whole concept here, man, I couldn't help but think that, you know, I have a young relative in her 20s who's on Facebook a lot. And I usually kind of, you know, I follow through there, I look through there and I see what's going on. And almost every post is like either woe is me or man, life just, you know, blank. And, you know, or, you know, I got this great thing planned and happening tonight, and the next morning, you know, it's like, oh, it was the worst thing in the world, you know, and always complaining about people, and complaining about all her troubles, and complaining to how she's you know, taken advantage of or misused or you know, betrayed, and on and on and on it goes. It's this right here. Not listening to his voice and doing, you know, just her own thing. And so the very thing she's complaining against is God's love, his effort to frustrate her efforts, because they're all done in her own devices, in her own ways. Oh, if she would listen. God would be quick. I think of her, and I think of her miserable life, and I think of her miserable past, and her likely miserable future, and I go, oh, and we've told her this. Oh, if you would just listen. Oh, if you would just. As much as I do, and I'm just her uncle. God made her and loves her, and oh, if you would just listen, I would quickly come in and so often what happens is the same person blames other people and blames God when all along, all that's going on is somebody stubbornly doing their own thing, reaping the consequences of it, and then grumbling and complaining about all the consequences. They're someone else's fault. They're God's fault. Woe is me. And all it is that person just needs to take that step back from this place of their own way into God's ways, into that beam of blessing, and He wants to quickly I look at my own life and I go, I feel like I'm blessed like crazy. But I know how much I'm not in sync with God. And when I'm not, I'm thinking, wow, it would be just mind-blowing to know how, if we could max this thing out. I can't imagine,